When you look at the marketing, when you look at the YouTube videos, you get the picture that the S23 Ultra is the best phone to get at the moment. Well, that picture is not entirely wrong. Now, this is an amazing phone. It's got a great display, excellent cameras, the S Pen, but it has one issue that could make it the wrong choice if gaming is high on your list of priorities. My name's Ash, you're watching C4E Tech. Let's talk about this. Now, before we proceed, a quick request: if you're on Telegram, use the link in the description to join the C4E Tech channel so that you can keep track of all my new uploads. Let me start this video explaining a couple of things. First, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy. Usually, Samsung goes with two different SoCs on their flagship phones. One would be Qualcomm's latest Snapdragon SoC, while the other would be their own homegrown Exynos chip. This year though, Samsung's gone all in with Qualcomm. And in turn, they've gotten something exclusive: Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy. Now, this is kind of what we'd have expected from Qualcomm with, say, a Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 2. Now, if you look at Qualcomm's mid-cycle plus SoCs, whether it's the 855 to 855 plus, 865 to 865 plus, 888 to 888 plus, or 8 Gen 1 to 8 plus Gen 1, it's all been the same. It's a 5 to 10% increase in clock speeds for the big core and another 5 to 10% increase in clocks for the GPU. Now, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy is pretty similar. It's got about a 5% boost on the big X3 core and another 5% on the GPU. Now, this has been the center point of marketing from Samsung. If you want the absolute best performance on Android, you should get a phone with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy, meaning the S23 series. Now, that would be fine if it were true, but it really isn't. And now, before we talk about that, let's get to the second part. What is all this performance for? Well, honestly, everything really. How powerful the phone is directly proportional to how smooth the user experience is. But these days, phones have gotten powerful enough that your regular day-to-day user experience, opening apps, scrolling through Twitter and Instagram, having a bunch of tabs open on Chrome, you could get a good experience for all that even on a mid-range chip. So where does that difference in performance usually matter the most? And the answer is gaming. Now, here's where cooling matters. The difference between burst and sustained performance matters. So how do we actually test this kind of sustained performance? The answer to that would be 3D Mark's stress test. The 3D Mark Wildlife Extreme Stress Test is exactly what it sounds like. It's a test that stresses out your GPU for 20 minutes. And this should give you an idea of how the performance changes on your phone if you were to game on it for 20 minutes straight. And this is the area where the S23 Ultra falters. Now, I tried running this test quite a few times, and the results were very similar. Now, before you understand these numbers, you need to get an idea of what they actually mean. Now, here are the rough first round scores for recent flagship Qualcomm chipsets. When you run them just once, these are the numbers you get. The Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy is at 3750-ish. The regular Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, 3700, 8 Plus Gen 1, 2800, 8 Gen 1, 2550, the 888 Plus at 1500, you get the picture. So the S23 Ultra here starts with the highest performance score possible. Now, each loop is about a minute. So by the end of 7 minutes, it's performing worse than a Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 phone would do in its first minute. That's okay, it's not bad. Now by minute 11, it's below the 8 Gen 1 levels. And it keeps dropping even lower to somewhere between 888 and 8 Gen 1 levels of performance. Now, what if there's something wrong with this particular unit? Now, that was the next obvious question I had. So I went around looking at different sources. Phone Arena's numbers were actually worse than mine. Their unit dipped to 1951 points, meaning a stability score of about 50%. I found another YouTuber showing it hitting 60. GSM Arena did not have Wildlife Extreme stress test numbers, but they did have Wildlife stress test numbers, which were similar, 62%. Now here's another YouTuber with the Wildlife stress test showing 55. Now there were one or two instances where I did see better numbers, but the majority of what I saw were around that 55 to 65% mark. Now maybe this is how Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 is. Maybe this is normal for the 8 Gen 2. That was my next thought. So to get answers, I started looking into how other 8 Gen 2 phones were performing. I started off with the iQOO 11, and it seemed fitting that the iQOO 11 took 11 minutes to drop to its lowest level, where it still performs above any Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 phone in its first round of the test. At its lowest, it's performing 20% better than the S23 Ultra. Then we have the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, and this phone seems to be a miracle. Like with every phone I'm talking about here, I double checked and I triple checked the numbers with different sources. The performance indicates it's a gaming phone disguised as a camera focused flagship. A stability score of 90+%, meaning even after 20 minutes, it's still at close to Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 levels. It's not really dipped. Now, this is a behavior we typically expect from a gaming phone, not a camera focused Vivo flagship. I mean, it's Vivo. Talking about gaming phones, the Red Magic 8 Pro, of course, as a gaming phone with an active cooling fan, it is no surprise that its curve is, well, a straight line. 99.6% stability, meaning after 20 minutes, this phone still offers pretty much the same performance as when you started gaming. Okay, then I started trying to find something that runs worse. So, of course, obviously, I moved on to Xiaomi. Well, Xiaomi has to be worse, right? I mean, they've had issues in the past where they've been alleged to stop 3D Mark from being run on their phones. But man, even Xiaomi 13 Pro after 20 minutes runs at above 8 Plus Gen 1 levels. 79% stability, I honestly was surprised. Now the only Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 phone we've not talked about yet, the one that could technically stop Samsung from getting the tag as worst performing 8 Gen 2 phone, is also the one I have, the one I'm currently testing out, the OnePlus 11. And this was surprising. The OnePlus 11 ends up with a stability score under 40%. But unlike with the S23 Ultra, where I could find a bunch of people, including GSM Arena, report stability scores between 58 and 62%, kind of to make it clear that my phone wasn't having issues, I couldn't find the same for the OnePlus 11. Most of the people testing the OnePlus 11 seem to be getting scores of about 65% on stability, which is not great, but isn't as bad as what you're seeing on my unit here. I am going to reach out to OnePlus and see what the issue could be. But for now, the OnePlus 11, at least my OnePlus 11, seems to be the worst performing Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 phone with respect to sustained performance. Now, I didn't intend to do this when I started putting this video together, but now that I've actually spoken about pretty much every Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 phone out there, I thought, why not sort it into tiers and make it easy for anyone looking at getting a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 phone with performance being a major focus point. So in the S tier, close to 100% stability, we have the Red Magic 8 Pro. A tier is where I dropped the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. Extremely surprised. Phones with about 90% stability would be in the A tier. B tier is about 80%, Xiaomi 13 Pro. C, about 70%. This is where I dropped the iQOO 11 in. And D is sadly where the S23 series slots in, about 60% stability. And the OnePlus 11 either goes into F or C, depending on if my scores were an isolated incident or if an update has knocked it down for everyone. Anyways, enough about the OnePlus 11. This video is about the S23 Ultra, so let's stick to it. Let's get back to it actually. I really hope Samsung can do something to fix this with updates. And guys, it is not all doom and gloom. If you take the S22 Ultra, for example, since launch, it's been a 60-70% stability phone. But the recent One UI 5.1 update knocked that stability down a lot. I've run 3D Mark multiple times on this to check it out, and it is hitting only 35% stability right now. And this is actually good since it indicates that there might be something wrong with the software with One UI 5.1, which is what's actually causing this. And maybe if and when Samsung addresses it, the S22 Ultra can go back to being a 60+% stability phone, and the S23 Ultra could probably have more to offer. But as of now, as of today, the way things stand, if performance is high priority to you, no matter what the marketing says, the S23 Ultra is not the phone you should be getting. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of reasons why you should be looking at this phone. There are a lot of reasons why you should be buying it. It is, despite all these issues, still probably my favorite phone at the moment. And I'll talk about all that and more in my full review that should be out by end of this month, early next month. Anyways, I guess that's pretty much it for this video. I kind of found it very interesting. These weren't the kind of results I expected, so I thought I'll share it with you. Now, if you did find this video helpful or interesting or both, do drop a like, hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet, and if you're already subscribed, hit that bell icon so that you don't miss out on my content. And I guess thanks a lot for your time. Thanks for watching. Until next time, my name's Ash. You've been watching C4E Tech, and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.